Working hard to make an income, then realizing you just can't save any of that money can be quite frustrating. According to Bankrate's Emergency Fund report, 57% of people said that they will not be able to pay for a $1,000 emergency expense from their savings. Not so long ago, I was also in the same position, not able to pay for a $1,000 expense from my savings. Till I recognized my bad money habits, made a plan and committed to the changes I needed to make, and then started building my wealth. In this video, I will share 7 bad money habits that kept me poor. Falling prey to scams. By now, we all know somebody who has fallen prey to an internet or a cell phone scam. And it's easy to think that, it was just bad luck. There's been multiple times where I've also come very close to falling for a scam. The latest of these scams being this text message asking me to pay charges on being late with my taxes. This is obviously not true. The country code of the phone number is not from the Netherlands. You can clearly see the website that is indicated for me to make this payment is an XYZ instead of being a .com or a .nl like the official tax authorities in the Netherlands. Furthermore, I've never received an email or a letter from the tax authorities requesting me to make this payment. One thing to always remember about scams is to always perform a due diligence before making any payments, especially if it's an online payment such as this one. The money that you lose from falling prey to scams, even the bank is unable to recover such amounts because this would be a conscious payment authorized by me from my bank account. Oftentimes, banks actually offer short online lessons to teach you more about avoiding scams such as this. And these lessons, most of the time, are for free. So there's nothing stopping you from learning how to protect yourself. Losing money to family and friends. I've mentioned this bad habit on another video. What I didn't mention is the true financial impact that this had on my journey to building wealth. I lent people large sums of money that took me years to build up and save up for. And furthermore, I took up loans in order to lend out money to people, and I never saw that money back. Let's split this and talk about the 2 scenarios that happened. The first one being just lending money to people from my own savings account. This stopped the effect of compound interest dead in its tracks. Instead of having my money work hard for me while I sleep by earning interest, I had a zero balance, placing me in danger of not being able to afford an emergency expense. This was risky and never to be repeated again. I never received the money back, which meant that I had to start my journey in building my wealth from scratch once again. One of the major life lessons that you can learn from Warren Buffett is the time value of money and letting compound interest work over a long period of time. For example, Warren Buffett has had over 60 years to grow his wealth and allow compound interest to work its magic. Now the second part. Borrowing money or taking out a loan in order to lend money to somebody else is one stupid mistake that I regret the most. When I look back, I keep asking myself the same question. Why? Why did I feel that I could put myself in that situation and trust that I would receive back the money because the person that I lent the money to would pay me back so that I wouldn't accumulate any interest, they would pay the interest, when they were the people who actually came to me because they couldn't get a loan from the bank? Why? I could go into the details of it all, but it really doesn't matter. At that point, I had to pay interest for money that I didn't receive any benefit from. I didn't use the money in any way. At that point, I also started living paycheck to paycheck because I had not budgeted to be paying this loan, as I had trusted that somebody else would be paying it because this loan was essentially taken out for them. Silly me. This one mistake set me back 3 years in my wealth building journey. If I could go back, I would say to myself, don't interfere in whatever lesson that life is trying to teach this person. The best advice that I could give this person is to go to the bank, because they will then have the obligation to pay back a financial institute which they can't run away from, compared to just silly old me. If you or anyone that you know is living paycheck to paycheck, after watching this video, you can watch this video to learn how to stop living paycheck to paycheck so that you can also start building your wealth. Spending money on pricey hobbies that I just never stuck to. If something is just a hobby and you have no intention to turning it into a money-making business, why are you spending so much money on it? During the pandemic, I bought a piano because I had all the intentions of improving my piano playing skills. Now my piano is packed away in storage, collecting dust, and I am not even practicing on a daily basis. The last time I touched it was, back in 2021. A more recent example is the new range of iPhone 15s that have just been announced. The iPhone 15 Pro Max has improved camera capabilities that are suitable for use by a professional photographer or somebody who would like to use the phone in order to make films. Does that justify buying the phone? Even when I know that I have no intention of being a professional photographer or a filmmaker, the phone that I currently have works just fine. There are tons of these examples, like buying sports equipment when I know that I'll just use it for about 2 or 3 times during the year, and at that rate I should just be hiring the sports equipment rather than buying it and keeping it in storage. That made me think of all the money that I spent in order to buy all of these items. All the items are currently sitting in storage and collecting dust, whereas that money could have been earning interest or paying me dividends. Comment down below with this emoji if you have made the same mistakes and learned your lesson. If you haven't made the same mistakes, you are much more further in your wealth building journey. So share this video to somebody who might be in this position right now, about to make these mistakes. And on that same tangent as expensive hobbies, you find that there is borrowing for life expenses. If you have to borrow money to go on holiday, renovate your house, host a wedding, or any other life expenses, you just know that this is a bad money habit waiting to turn into a financial disaster. I have personally never felt the pressure to do this, but I know of people who have taken out auto loans in order to buy a car that is similar to their friend's car. And now the latest trend that has been made popular by TikTok is to use girl math in order to justify making purchases for items that you can hardly afford. This is something like buying an expensive piece of clothing, then calculating how many times you're going to use it during the year in order to justify the payment and say that for each payment that you would have done, this is how much you're going to weigh the item for. Another thing that's trending is to spread out the payments using services such as Clara and make payments for that expensive purchase over a few months, thus dampening the effect of that payment on your salary. Whichever way you spin it, you are stuck paying interest on borrowed money instead of gaining interest on money that you've invested or saved. Paying the expenses for a friend's night out. This lesson I learned in university. I went out with a friend, she ran out of money, and I offered to pay for the rest of the night's drinks. I didn't calculate how much I spent on her drinks because I thought, in a similar situation, she will do the same. That moment came just a few weeks later. We went out for a dinner and then later we would go out for drinks. I informed her friend, I'm out of money. Then she started explaining drunk financial loans to me. She was like, I'm gonna withdraw the sum of money, borrow it to you, you will pay me back once you have money. Silly me! I thought that she would just pay for my drinks like I did for her just a few weeks earlier. Well, nowadays there are cash request apps that have helped to solve this whole debacle. In the Netherlands, we use the tikkie. One person pays for the entire expense, takes a picture of the slip, and then sends it to us the next day. We then identify the items that we had on the list, and then she sends us a tikkie to pay her back. You have accumulated those expenses during the night out, so it's only fair that you pay your portion of what you spent. If you have found any of the information that I've shared so far to be valuable to you, please like the video by pressing the like button below. During the first year when I moved to the Netherlands, I went to the dentist before my medical insurance was arranged. The dentist practice then sent the invoice for the services that he had provided to my apartment. However, I never received this invoice because I had then moved from my short-term staying apartment to the long-term apartment that I had found. The bill remained unpaid for more than 4 months, and each month it incurred €50 costs for admin charges that the dentist practice had incurred in order to try to get hold of me and remind me to pay this bill. By the time I paid the bill, I paid over €332 for a service that only cost €32. The same can happen to you for any number of reasons, because it's still your responsibility to make timely payments, and if you can't, it's still your responsibility to make an arrangement with the service provider so that you don't get charged with these stupid late payment charges, not insuring my most valuable assets. I used to think that terrible thing would never ever happen to me. Or that's just some bad luck that that terrible thing happened to that person. Well, I've had a taste of that bad luck in recent years. From my car being in an accident where it was totally written off and I was just lucky to escape with my life, to small things such as losing my AirPods and then losing my husband's AirPods all in a space of a week. That's a total of €480 lost in a space of a few days. Luckily, I had my car insured and I could have the rest of the outstanding balance on that car loan paid off by the car insurance. But my husband and I both didn't have our AirPods insured, which meant that I had to incur costs to replace those AirPods. If you were to value the AirPods by measuring how much I could have bought in terms of shares, that would have been 2 shares that could have been earning me dividends. Hopefully you can learn something from my bad money habits, because I eventually learned that I can forgive myself and continue on my wealth building journey. To keep track and stay clear from these bad money habits, I follow a few easy steps each month when I get paid. Watch this video so that you can learn how to do the same. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on any of the uploads that I do in the future. I'll see you on this next video. Bye!